So TUMI has a brand spanking new fragrance, which is a flanker to one of their very first fragrances called Awaken. This is Awaken Distilled. Here today, I'm going to talk to you about Awaken Distilled. Brand new release that's just out now. I'll tell you all about this fragrance and also do a rank list of all 6 TUMI fragrances. From this house, they've launched fragrances since 2020, and they now have 6 fragrances up to now. And guess what? We are doing a full bottle giveaway of TUMI Awaken Distilled, and this is a worldwide giveaway, guys. If you're curious to learn about TUMI Awaken Distilled, then please stay tuned. Thanks so much for tuning in. This is Sebastian. We're talking about TUMI's Awaken Distilled, a brand new flanker of the original TUMI Awaken. TUMI Awaken was launched in 2020. I actually got to sample it in 2019 at a fragrance show, and I was waiting for the fragrances to launch, and finally they launched in 2020 at the height of the pandemic. And 3 years later, we now have Awaken Distilled. The original fragrance is here. Let me show you. Do let me know also if you're a fan of Awaken or any of the other TUMI fragrances. You all know which one I like the best, and I'll let you know once we do the rank list. You'll find out which is still my #1 favorite fragrance. But it's all about TUMI's Awaken Distilled today. And don't forget, there's a giveaway. It's a worldwide giveaway, full bottle of TUMI Awaken Distilled, valued at $155 to subscribers of this channel. So this is a 2023 launch. 100 ml sells for $155. Eau De Parfum concentration. All the fragrances are Eau De Parfum concentration here. They don't start at Eau de Toilette with this brand. They go right to the higher concentration of fragrances. So we've got here Italian Mandarin, Bergamot, Grapefruit, and Coriander for top notes. In the heart, you've got Black Lavender, Clary Sage, Fir Needle, and Cypress. Then finally in the base notes, you've got Amberwood, Olibanum, Patchouli, and Cedarwood. So the notes are very similar to the original Awaken, but they've added 3 notes that are only here in the distilled version in comparison to the original. So at the top, they've added Italian Mandarin. This is a key note for me, and I really experienced this note in this fragrance. Very invigorating. The heart, they've added Black Lavender, which was also not in the Awaken original. And then finally in the base notes, they've added Amberwood, which is also key here for this fragrance. For me, this fragrance is just like the original, but starts off very, very juicy, citrusy. So they've added an extra citrusy note because they already got bergamot and grapefruit with the original. Now it becomes a lot more juicy and then also a bit sweet, because Mandarin orange seems to be sweet compared to something like lemons and lime and things like that. They've already got bergamot here, and they also have grapefruit, and I feel like the Italian Mandarin really does blend beautifully with the other citruses and the coriander that's here at the top notes as well. So for me, it's lots of citruses, and I feel like the citruses with Awaken Distilled are dominating here, and then eventually the Amberwood takes over in the base. But for me, it's mostly about the Italian Mandarin, and then we've got the Cypress note here as well, which is pretty dominant. Definitely, I would consider this a citrusy Cypress fragrance. And then in the base notes, the Amberwood, which creates this kind of musky, ambery, woody kind of a texture in the fragrance. So starting off with that juicy blast of citruses, lots of them. If you like citruses and you like the idea of Awaken, you should check this one out. For me, I'm preferring Awaken Distilled much more than Awaken, because Awaken is my least favorite of the fragrances in the collection. But you'll see in the rank list where the Awaken Distilled ends up. But as I said, lots of juicy citruses up top. It does get aromatic here in the heart notes. This is where all the aromatics are: lavender, clary sage, fir needle, cypress. All very aromatic, a bit green leaning notes here. Eventually in the base notes, it's going to get all woody, ambery, earthy, and then also a bit musky as well, some smokiness from the Olibanum note. So if you're liking the original Awaken and you want a bit of a change, you want a bit of a punch of citruses and some amber woody muskiness added to your favorite fragrance, because I feel like Awaken seems to be the most popular fragrance from TUMI. Are you a fan of Awaken as well? As I said, it's not my favorite of the bunch. But this one seems to be a little better for sure in comparison to the original, because I like that invigorating blast up top of the citruses. Just a boost of, juicy, sweet, tart citruses up top. Really starts the fragrance off really wonderfully, which I quite like here in this fragrance. So that's my thoughts on Awaken Distilled. I think it's a solid release for a designer, but still, it's not my favorite fragrance from the bunch. I have a favorite here. I like the more intense, ambery, warm, spicy kind of notes. This one seems very close to, a lot of mass market fragrances, and I think that's why it's universally loved by a lot of people. But if I'm going to compare it to the original Awaken, I much prefer Awaken Distilled, because the juiciness of the citruses up top is really a nice blast, where it was kind of missing with the original. It's a very invigorating start and makes you kind of wonder what's going to happen with this fragrance. Where is it going to go when that start is really, really wonderfully refreshing with all those citruses? So those are my thoughts here. Hopefully you guys get to try it. I have a link to So Avant-Garde. This is the website for the fragrance group who distributes TUMI fragrances, and there you have a discount code Sebastian20 you can use to take discounts off of this or any fragrances that are selling on the So Avant-Garde website, except for the Mind Games fragrances, guys. Those are not discounted. I didn't mention it recently, but I'm mentioning it now. So yeah, take advantage of the discount for this one, and let me tell you the rank list now for the entire TUMI fragrances collection. Alright, starting at number 6, I already mentioned it, it's Awaken at number 6. This is my least favorite of the fragrances. It's just kind of, like I said, it was very massed. It's reminding me a lot of other mass market men's fragrances. That's why it's kind of ranked low. It's fresh and spicy, aromatic and woody fragrance with bergamot, coriander, cypress, fir, clary sage, grapefruit, cedar, and olibanum. And the Awaken original is missing that mandarin orange, it's missing the lavender, and then the amberwood, which for me, I feel like it does do a little better job with the flanker, the distilled version, in comparison to the original. So I'm putting Awaken at the bottom of the list. It might be your favorite, but we all have different tastes. The next one at number 5, it's not Awaken Distilled, it's UNWIND. So the bottom of the list are the 2 original fragrances from TUMI. So yeah, they are my least favorite of the bunch. The fragrances got better and better and better along the way, but you'll see some curves here in a bit. This is a woody, spicy, citrusy, aromatic fragrance. It does feature oud, ginger, sandalwood, vetiver, some lemons, sage, lavender, and geranium. For me, I felt like this was a little better than the original Awaken, but also kind of does remind me a little bit of Santal 33 lightly, because it does have a prominent sandalwood note, but definitely a solid release for men who like designer fragrances and don't want to spend too much money on niche fragrances and things like that. So UNWIND is at number 5. If you don't know this one, do check it out. As I said, I do have that link in the info box with a discount code for fragrances to purchase at So Avant-Garde. And at number 4, it is Awaken Distilled. So it's not too far up to the top. Again, it's very similar to the original Awaken, except for the fact that it has that mandarin orange note. And what I like about this fragrance is the start, that citrusy start. It's very uplifting. And Awaken, it's what it's all about, right? You're going to be uplifted. You're going to wake up. You're going to get up and go, about your day and do whatever you have to do. And you need that kind of blast of citruses. And I think definitely it's much more solid than the original, especially because it has that top note of mandarin orange, because they've intensified the citruses in here to give you a bit of that uplifting and invigorating touch. But of course, as I said, it does have the aromatics, the cypress and the heart notes, and then of course the amber wood with the woods and the earthy touches, and of course the Olibanum comes in here in the base notes as well. So definitely I enjoyed this one more than the first 2 fragrances from TUMI, but I have other preferences in the top 3. So at number 3, it is KINETIC. So the original 2 fragrances were launched in 2020, and then KINETIC and another fragrance launched in 2022, and then we've got one fragrance that launched in 2021, and then of course the Distilled is just launching now. I'm wondering where they're going to take us with the TUMI fragrances. We'll see which direction they go. Hopefully they'll focus on some more warmer and amberier, and maybe perhaps like leather or things like that, because they don't have anything like that in the notes for the fragrances yet. But KINETIC is a 2022 launch, and it features notes of vetiver with geranium, ginger, grapefruit, cardamom, sandalwood, labdanum, Geranium, Moss, and Bergamot. Definitely another fragrance that's kind of very inspired by a lot of mass market fragrances. This one to me does remind me a little bit of the DNA of something like Dior Sauvage, maybe even something like Calon from Parfums de Marly and things like that. So it does have a very aromatic and fougere-like vibe, but very, very modern fougere rather than classic barbershop-y fragrances. But once again, it's very invigorating with the citruses here. It's got a zing, it's got a bite, lots of spices, and vetiver, and of course earthiness as well. So it definitely, you know, it smells great. It's got a kind of a very crowd-pleasing smell, and I think this is the kind of fragrance that people like, you know, smelling off of people. It's just very inviting and invigorating with the citruses as well. And then of course when it's drying down, it does dry down to kind of a woody, mossy, ambery fragrance. So KINETIC is at number 3. Let me know if you're a fan of that one. The next one, at number 2, it's Atlas, this one right here. So Atlas came out also in 2022. KINETIC and Atlas came out last year. And then in 2021, they launched something really, really great, which is at number 1. If you don't know about it, I'll tell you in a bit. But Atlas to me is a woody, spicy, citrusy, aromatic fragrance. Also, this bottle, as you can see, it's kind of metallic. Very silver. I feel like it wears like that. So it's an aromatic fragrance, lots of aromatics, and also lots of citruses to create this kind of metallic, crisp, ice-cold effect when you're wearing the fragrance. It has vetiver, geranium, ginger, grapefruit, cardamom, sandalwood, labdanum, moss, bergamot, and I could swear that there's some juniper in here as well to give you that kind of crisp, metallic touch. But either way, it's an ice-cold fragrance. It's perfect for the heat, cools you off, smells great. Once again, it's a crowd pleaser. People like these kind of fragrances off of people that are wearing, you know, these kind of fragrances. They smell great and they garner compliments and things like that. And I think it's one of those kind of fragrances that you can wear over and over again and not get tired, especially if you're the type that has a signature fragrance, because this is definitely kind of like a signature scent type of a fragrance. I think most of these are, except for the number 1, which can be a little bit daring, but in a designer fragrance way, not necessarily in a mass market way. But either way, Atlas is at number 2. Check that out. Again, it's very fresh and also very crisp and metallic. And then finally, the number 1 fragrance that launched in 2021, the third fragrance from this house, the one that I really, really love from this house. It's a great, great, great designer fragrance. This is CONTINUUM, this one right here. So they did a great job with this fragrance. It's an amber woody musky fragrance and it has powdery touches and it smells super fantastic. Really, really wonderful. I love the way this smells. It's a great designer fragrance. I'm going to spray some on. I've spoken a lot about this one. I've featured it in various videos and things like that. For me, this fragrance has a booziness and also a bit of a Coca-Cola vibe. That is really, really great. I love that about this fragrance. It smells great. But for me, the notes are Orris, Amber, Oud, Tobacco, Musk, Olibanum, Suede, Cistus, Mandarin Orange. Wonderful blending here. Wonderful fragrance. Great to wear in the colder months. In the autumn, I think this is perfect. Spring is fine as well. I love the warm notes. I love the tobacco. I love that powdery touch and the amber in this. And then, of course, I like that whole boozy kind of Coca-Cola vibe that's in here. Smells super fantastic and I absolutely love it. And it deserves the number 1 spot. For me, this is tops from this house. Love it. Love everything about it because it's got the kind of notes that I like. Tobacco, the warmness, the spices, the booziness, and then with that kind of fizzy vibe with the kind of Coca-Cola-esque vibe with this. Absolutely love it. Either way, that's CONTINUUM, my number 1 favorite fragrance from the house of TUMI. So we did put Awaken Distilled at number 4. It's definitely much better than Awaken. I much prefer it over Awaken. But it definitely didn't beat my top 3 fragrances. But you guys might like it. Everybody has different tastes. I know Awaken is the most popular fragrance from this house, and it's a given that they would do a flanker of the most popular fragrance. Definitely much better because I like that whole burst of citrusy touches up top. But this is a really, really great start. And again, it wakes you up, and you need that with fragrances, or you need that in general because you're kind of sleepy still and all that. Spritz that stuff on and you're ready to go out for your day. But But either way, those are my thoughts for these fragrances. I do have that link in the info box, as I said, if you guys want to take advantage of it. It's 20% off of all the fragrances over at So Avant-Garde, including the new Awaken Distilled. Just remember, not on mind games. But let's do the giveaway now. As I said, it's an international, worldwide giveaway. Everybody in the world has an opportunity to participate who is a subscriber of my channel. Please make sure you're subscribed. Please write down a comment below why you want to win the bottle of TUMI Awaken Distilled. Why does it sound great to you? Put down a comment and let me know why you want to win the bottle of Awaken. And if you didn't want to win the bottle of Awaken, which fragrance sounds the best to you? Out of all 6 fragrances from TUMI, which one is the one that sounds great to you? And also put your country down. If you're in the States, please put down your state. And then, of course, make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Either way, guys, thanks so much for watching today's video. Good luck with the giveaway. Please like this video. Please share it. Follow me on Instagram and Facebook, and I'll be back with more videos very soon. Have a good one. Goodbye.